Hola, bienvenidos. Welcome back to my channel. I want to do a challenge, and I'm calling this the 2026 Sewing Challenge, where every month I'm going to take a pattern from my stash and make it, because it is time for me to use those patterns and make clothes. So this first episode of the series is going to be the January month. We're going to sew a peasant top. It is the Simplicity 1940s peasant top. This is the reproduction pattern that Simplicity came out with, the fabric that I will be using. So let's get started. First up, we have to iron this fabric, so let's go to our ironing board and do that first.
So I'm trying to place the pattern so the fabric stretch runs across the body. Once I determine that direction, I lay out the fabric and position the pattern pieces. I thought I was clever enough not to use pins. I was wrong. I need these to cut precisely. And don't forget your notches.
I made a big mistake, you guys. I didn't check if all the pattern pieces were going to fit in this fabric that I planned to cut. So I'm gonna make the biggest no-no in the sewing world. I'm gonna somehow make it work. Alright, the only solution I can think of is cutting the sleeve in two, adding seam allowance, but my mistake. I just don't want to start all over again.
I traced my patterns before I cut to make sure all my pieces were going to fit. This is not ideal, but I had to make this work because this was the only piece of fabric I had. And I repeat, do not forget to mark your notches or any other markings your pattern indicates. Now, can we take a moment to appreciate my beautiful thread box? I love it. Okay, back to business. Let's go ahead and pick our thread. I know people hate on this machine, but honestly, it's worked for me. And for a couple of bucks, why not? Okay, now let's go ahead and thread our machine.
Because we made that, I'm gonna call it Mickey Mouse pattern, I'm gonna go ahead and sew that first. So we have our sleeves as a whole, right sides together, and we sew the 3/8 that I added on here. And now we have a whole sleeve. I do believe if we go ahead and iron every seam that we sew, open or to side, darts, etc., your garment does come out much better. So let me go and do that.
Now, if the written instructions don't make sense to me, I guide myself by the photo and my notches and marks that I make on the pattern and fabric. For example, this piece has marks to indicate where I should stop sewing. And it worked. Okay, perfect. I think this worked. It looks just like the photo. Okay, now on to step number 2. So let's get our bodice so we can connect it to the sleeve. But I don't know if this goes on here. Let's try.
Let me just tell you guys, I was struggling. I was struggling to put it in, and what I tend to do sometimes when I think it's not gonna work, I pin it like so, and I test out to see if it looks good. Now, what? I did both of them. Oh no, I did one side only. So here's the sleeve, and all this is gonna get crunched up. It works. I was getting a little nervous. Here's the cassette. It's down here, just like the photo. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and sew I'm gonna actually sew it. Sew the other side, go to lunch. Let's do this. Sewn the sleeves. This is huge. I've sewn the sleeves, and now it is telling me that we need to do a casing, which is going to be cut, embroidery, or added trim to the length of the blouse in a half, and then with the right sides together, pin straight. Okay, placing. Okay. So let me bring all my trims out. Okay, so this is my box of trims. What would be cute? Should we just do like a red ribbon? Is that too much? It's gonna have red bows. The blouse is cherries. Will flowers go? All right, let's see. Give me 1 second. Just gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna make it red.
And now I'm just trying to figure out what red would work best, a bright red or a dark red. I went with the dark red. I was confused why it told me to measure the neckline and not use the guide that the pattern came with. Then I remembered all of this is going to be gathered with the elastic. After measuring the trim with the right sides together, we pin in place and then we sew. Once that is sewn, turn over the trim and sew at a quarter out from the neckline, not the trim edge, the neckline. Then we follow the same steps for the sleeves. So I realized removing this from the machine makes sewing the sleeves so much easier.
It is day 2 and we are determined to finish this top. Turns out that the elastic guide is too big for me, or maybe I just made the top too big. We're gonna find out at the end. I'm not gonna use the pattern guide for the elastic. I'm gonna measure my body and get the elastic out of that. Also, it is cloudy and it's dark. So natural hair, comfortable outfit. Let's finish this today.
We want the elastic tight enough to where it will hold the blouse in place, but not too tight where it feels uncomfortable. I look like a zombie doing this. I was watching Charm, and as many times as I watch it, I still get sucked in. Anyways, I use a safety pin to thread the elastic through the seams, but is there a specific tool I should be using? Let me know. Once the elastic is all through, sew the ends together and sew close the opening of the trim.
Elastics have been put in place, both the neckline and the arms. Now all I have to do is finish these sides and do the hem. So as always, right sides together and let's finish it. It is done. I love it. There are a couple of things that I want to fix. Example, the elastic is a little too tight and is uncomfortable, so I will be redoing this. That's why I didn't add any of the bows, but I think if I add the bows, it's not gonna clash too much with the red trim up here. And I love how the elastic here lays, how it falls. If I want to be a little bit more sexy, I can go ahead and bring it down a little bit more. So I had extra fabric, so I think I'm going to go ahead and properly sew this as a headband so I can wear it if I want to, because this is such a cute look. So what do you guys think? I would definitely recommend it. Such an easy sew. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next project.